In a peaceful meadow at the edge of a tranquil pond, there lived a frog named Finn. His smooth, green skin blended perfectly with the lily pads that dotted the water's surface. Finn loved his life in the pond, hopping from one lily pad to another, catching flies with his long tongue, and singing croaky songs during the quiet evenings. Life was simple for Finn, but sometimes he would look beyond the pond to the vast meadow and wonder what lay beyond. He had heard the birds sing about adventures in faraway places, but for the most part Finn was content to stay close to his home. One warm afternoon, as Finn sat on his favorite lily pad, basking in the sun, he noticed something new. A small butterfly fluttered gently past him, its delicate wings shimmering in the sunlight. The butterfly's wings were a brilliant shade of yellow and black, and they seemed to glisten like a piece of the sky itself. Finn blinked in surprise. He had seen butterflies before, of course, but none quite like this one. It hovered in the air, landing softly on a nearby flower. Curious, Finn hopped closer to get a better look. "Hello there," he croaked, his voice soft but friendly. "You're a beautiful butterfly. What's your name?" The butterfly, startled at first, turned to face the frog with gentle eyes. "Why, thank you," she replied, her voice light and sweet. "My name is Bella. And you are?" "I'm Finn," the frog replied, giving a small bow. "I live in this pond." Bella fluttered her wings in delight. "Oh, I've heard so much about ponds. How lovely they must be." "They are," Finn said, smiling. "It's peaceful here. The water is cool and there's plenty of food. You should visit the pond sometime." Bella flew around Finn in circles. "I'd love to. I travel all over the meadow, but I've never been to a pond before. It sounds like such an exciting place." Finn thought about this for a moment. "It is quite calm, I suppose. Not many visitors come around here. The pond is usually just me and the occasional dragonfly or fish." Bella settled onto a nearby flower, her wings fluttering as she rested. "I think it would be nice to see your pond up close. I have traveled far, seen so many places, but sometimes I wonder what life would be like in one place for a while." Finn looked at her curiously. "You travel a lot? Where have you been?" Bella's wings fluttered as she began to tell Finn about the many places she had seen. She described vast fields filled with wildflowers, towering trees that touched the sky, and faraway hills where the sun set in colors of pink and orange. She spoke of flying high in the air, feeling the breeze and dancing among the clouds. Finn listened intently, captivated by her stories. Though he had never left the pond, he could picture everything she described with such vivid detail, as if he had seen it himself. "I must admit," Finn said once she had finished her tale, "I haven't traveled much. I know the pond well and I've seen the meadow and the nearby forest, but I've never ventured far. I guess I don't have wings like you do." Bella smiled warmly. "True, but that doesn't mean you can't explore in your own way. Perhaps there's more to discover here than you realize." Finn thought about Bella's words as he watched her flutter around him. "Maybe you're right. I've spent so much time here that I've stopped wondering what lies beyond." For the next few days, Bella returned to visit Finn every afternoon. They would chat about their lives, sharing stories of their experiences. Finn had learned so much about the world from Bella's travels, and Bella found comfort in Finn's steady, grounded nature. Despite their differences, one with wings that could soar high and the other with legs that could leap from one lily pad to another, they had formed a bond that neither had expected. One day, as they sat together by the edge of the pond, something caught Finn's eye. A large storm was brewing in the distance. Dark clouds began to roll in, and the air turned heavy with anticipation. Finn's instincts told him that a storm was coming, and it would be a strong one. He felt a pang of worry. "Bella," Finn said with concern, "I think a storm is coming. It looks like it's going to be a big one." Bella fluttered her wings nervously. "Oh no. I hadn't noticed. I should probably find shelter soon." Finn's heart sank as he watched Bella. The butterfly had no place to hide in the pond, and she was so small and delicate. "Do you have somewhere safe to go?" he asked, his voice full of concern. Bella paused, unsure. "I'm not sure. I usually fly away when storms come, but with this one it might be too much for me." Without thinking, Finn stood up, his legs strong and steady. "You can come with me," he said. "I know of a little place near the reeds where we'll be safe from the storm." Bella looked at Finn in surprise. "You'd do that for me?" "Of course," Finn said with a reassuring smile. "We're friends and friends look out for each other." Together, the two of them hurried to the edge of the pond, where a cluster of reeds grew tall and thick. Finn led Bella to a small, sheltered area where the reeds bent, offering protection from the storm's fierce winds. They huddled together as the first raindrops began to fall, quickly followed by a torrential downpour. The wind howled and the storm raged around them, but they were safe and dry. As they waited out the storm, Bella perched on Finn's back, her wings tucked in close to her body. Finn sat calmly, his strong body providing warmth and shelter for the small butterfly. They shared stories to pass the time, laughing together as the storm raged outside. Though they were so different, they had found comfort in each other's company. When the storm finally passed, the sky cleared, and a beautiful rainbow appeared in the sky, stretching from one end of the meadow to the other. The air was fresh and the sun shone brightly once again. Bella flitted around Finn in excitement, her wings catching the light. "That was amazing," she said, her voice full of joy. "I've never felt safer during a storm than I did with you." Finn smiled. "I'm glad I could help. It's nice to know that we can rely on each other when we need it." From that day forward, the bond between Finn and Bella grew even stronger. The frog and the butterfly, though unlikely friends, had learned that no matter how different they were, they could always rely on each other. Bella continued her travels, but she always returned to visit Finn, and whenever a storm or challenge arose, they knew they had each other's backs. And so, the frog and the butterfly remained the best of friends, sharing their days in the peaceful meadow, discovering new parts of the world and helping one another along the way. Their story was one of unlikely friendship, of two creatures from different worlds coming together to support and understand one another, proving that even the most unexpected friendships can bloom in the most beautiful ways. A small green frog, named Ferdinand, sat perched on a lily pad, his large bulging eyes scanning the water's surface. He was a creature of habit, content with his daily routine of catching flies and basking in the sun. He enjoyed the quiet solitude of his pond, the gentle lapping of the water, the buzzing of dragonflies. A vibrant butterfly, named Celeste, fluttered through the air, her wings shimmering with a kaleidoscope of colors. She was a creature of boundless energy and curiosity, always exploring, always seeking new sights and scents. She landed gracefully on a bright red poppy, her delicate wings quivering. Ferdinand, startled by the sudden burst of color, blinked his eyes. He had never seen a creature quite like Celeste. He had seen dragonflies with their iridescent wings and beetles with their shiny carapaces, but Celeste was different. She was delicate, graceful, and utterly captivating. Celeste, noticing Ferdinand's gaze, turned her head, her antennae twitching. She had seen frogs before, of course, but Ferdinand's eyes held a certain curiosity that piqued her interest. She fluttered over to the lily pad, landing gently beside him. Ferdinand, surprised by her approach, croaked a greeting. Celeste, in response, flapped her wings, creating a soft, whispering sound. They remained silent for a moment, observing each other, two vastly different creatures meeting for the first time. Ferdinand, intrigued by Celeste's silent presence, hopped off his lily pad and onto the grassy bank. Celeste followed, fluttering alongside him. They sat beneath the shade of a weeping willow tree, its long branches trailing into the water. Ferdinand, finding his voice, croaked a question. "What are you?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. Celeste, understanding his curiosity, fluttered her wings, tracing patterns in the air. "I am a butterfly," she replied, her voice a soft, melodic whisper. Ferdinand tilted his head, his eyes wide. "A butterfly?" he repeated, the word unfamiliar to him. "What do you do?" Celeste, eager to share her world, described her life, her journey from caterpillar to chrysalis to butterfly. She spoke of the flowers she visited, the nectar she drank, the vast, open sky she explored. Ferdinand, listening intently, was amazed by her stories. He had never ventured beyond the pond, never seen the world beyond the reeds. He was captivated by Celeste's tales of flight, of distant meadows, of towering trees. Celeste, in turn, was fascinated by Ferdinand's life in the pond. She listened as he described his days, his hunting techniques, his love for the cool, still water. She was intrigued by his simple existence, his contentment with the familiar. Celeste, eager to show Ferdinand her world, invited him to explore the forest with her. Ferdinand, hesitant at first, agreed, his curiosity outweighing his fear of the unknown. They ventured into the forest, Celeste fluttering ahead, guiding Ferdinand through the tangled undergrowth. Ferdinand, hopping and leaping, struggled to keep up with Celeste's effortless flight. They reached a hidden clearing, a sun-drenched haven filled with wildflowers of every color. Celeste landed on a large, purple thistle, its petals speckled with pollen. Ferdinand, panting slightly, hopped onto a moss-covered rock, his eyes wide with wonder. Celeste, noticing his awe, pointed her antennae towards a patch of vibrant bluebells. "These are my favorite," she said, her voice filled with delight. They smell like sweet honey. Ferdinand, intrigued, hopped over to the bluebells, sniffing the air. He was surprised by the delicate, sweet scent. He had never smelled anything quite like it. They spent the afternoon exploring the clearing, discovering hidden corners, admiring the diverse flora. Celeste showed Ferdinand how to find the sweetest nectar, how to identify different types of flowers, how to listen to the subtle sounds of the forest. Ferdinand, in return, showed Celeste how to find the juiciest insects, how to navigate the damp, mossy ground, how to appreciate the quiet stillness of the forest. As the sun began to set, they reached the edge of a babbling brook, its water sparkling in the fading light. Celeste landed on a smooth, flat rock, her wings catching the golden rays of the setting sun. Ferdinand hopped onto a nearby log, his eyes reflecting the shimmering water. They sat in silence for a moment, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. The gentle murmur of the brook, the soft chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves in the breeze, all created a soothing symphony. Celeste, breaking the silence, turned to Ferdinand. "I have never met anyone quite like you," she said, her voice soft and sincere. "You are so different from me, yet we have so much in common." Ferdinand, touched by her words, croaked a response. "You are different too," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "You have shown me a world I never knew existed." They shared a moment of understanding, a connection that transcended their differences. They were an unlikely pair, a frog and a butterfly, but they had found a bond of friendship that was strong and true. They returned to the pond, the moon casting a silvery glow over the water. Celeste landed on a tall reed, her wings shimmering in the moonlight. Ferdinand hopped onto his favorite lily pad, his eyes fixed on Celeste. They said their goodbyes, promising to meet again the next day. Celeste fluttered away, her silhouette disappearing into the darkness. Ferdinand watched her go, a sense of warmth and contentment filling his heart. He spent the night thinking about his adventure, about Celeste, about the world beyond the pond. He realized that he had been living a limited life, confined to the familiar comfort of his pond. He had been afraid to venture out, afraid of the unknown. But Celeste had shown him that the world was full of beauty, wonder, and friendship. She had shown him that differences were not barriers, but rather bridges to understanding. The next morning, Ferdinand woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. He was eager to see Celeste, to continue their exploration of the forest. He hopped onto the grassy bank, his eyes scanning the sky. Celeste appeared, fluttering down from a nearby tree, her wings shimmering in the sunlight. She landed beside Ferdinand, her antennae twitching. They spent the day exploring new areas of the forest, discovering hidden waterfalls, climbing ancient trees, and observing the diverse wildlife. They shared stories, laughed together, and learned from each other. They became inseparable, their friendship growing stronger with each passing day. They were a symbol of acceptance, a testament to the power of connection. One evening, they found themselves in a field of sunflowers, their faces turned towards the setting sun. The golden light illuminated the field, creating a breathtaking spectacle. Celeste landed on a large sunflower, her wings spread wide, basking in the warm glow. Ferdinand hopped onto a nearby rock, his eyes fixed on Celeste. He watched her, admiring her beauty, her grace, her spirit. He realized that he had never felt such a strong connection with another creature. Celeste, sensing his gaze, turned towards him, her eyes filled with warmth. She fluttered down to the rock, landing gently beside him. They sat in silence for a moment, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange, pink, and purple. Celeste, breaking the silence, turned to Ferdinand. "I will be leaving soon," she said, her voice soft and melancholic. "It is time for me to migrate, to follow the warm winds." Ferdinand, his heart sinking, croaked a question. "Where will you go?" he asked, his voice filled with sadness. Celeste described her journey, a long and arduous flight to a distant land, where the sun was always warm and the flowers were always in bloom. Ferdinand, realizing that he would soon be alone again, felt a pang of loneliness. He had grown accustomed to Celeste's presence, her laughter, her stories. Celeste's departure was imminent. They returned to the pond, the stars twinkling in the night sky. They sat on the grassy bank, their eyes fixed on the moon. They shared their final goodbyes, promising to remember each other always. Celeste fluttered away, her silhouette fading into the darkness. Ferdinand watched her go, his heart heavy with sadness. He knew that he would miss her dearly, her friendship, her laughter, her stories. But he also knew that their friendship had changed him, had opened his eyes to the world beyond the pond. He was no longer afraid to explore, to learn,